Hey guys, Mr. Kennedy here again. So this video tutorial is actually going to give you a walkthrough through actually three levels. Level 11, level 12, and level 13 are all designing the same app. So each level you're going to be doing something different in the app. So this is kind of what you're going to be doing in the next assignment, which is building your own app. So I just wanted to go over how this looks, and it looks a little different than the previous levels. All right, so over here on the left, this is your virtual phone. Now, if you look up here at the top, there's a drop-down arrow. All right, your drop-down arrow is all the screens that you currently have so far in your app. So if you look at that, how many screens do we have in our app? So if you said 2, you would be right. We have a start screen, which is the one you're looking at right now. And then we have what they call a left screen. And I'm going to explain what that is in a little bit, but that's what this screen looks like. Okay, so that's going to be important once we start doing some different things. So I'm going to be up here, okay, where it says goal. So it says add a second button to the screen that says right with an ID of right button. Okay, so the first thing we're doing is we're adding a second button. So if you look over here at your answer, all right, you'll notice how this button right here does not exist in our app. All right, it's not there. So we have to add that button first. So right here, all right, is everything we can add to our app. So if you look at the goal, we're going to add a button. So we're just going to take this button and we're going to drag it in just like right about here somewhere. Now, if you notice, our button that we just added and this button over here does not look very similar. So we have to make it look similar. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it say right. So instead of the word button, we're going to make it say right. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to change the text. We're going to change the ID here in a second. So we're going to change the text to right with an exclamation point. So now if you look over here, there's our button that we just changed. Now the next thing, it says change the ID to right button. So right now, this button is called button 1. We don't want to call it that because when we start programming and we look at this and we see button 1, we're not going to really know what this is referring to. So we want to call it something we're going to remember. So hopefully if we call it right button, we know that this is referring to the button that goes right. All right, now the next thing, it says in design mode, drag in a new button. We did that. Position it, we did that. Resize it, we didn't do that. So what we can do is we can just take this and we can just drag this down a little bit and we can kind of make it close to the size of the left button. And I think, let's see, that looks pretty good. And if I want, I can even change the height and the width here. So I'm going to make it a little wider, just so it looks pretty good. There we go. 145 and 70 look like pretty good numbers. So we changed the ID to right button. We changed the text to right. We need to change the background color. So how do we think we do that? All right, we're going to go down to background color right here. Right now it's green. We're going to change that. We're going to change it to some sort of red. It's more pink red. Okay, so that changes that. And what do you think is missing? What's the last thing that we need to do? So we have to do the font size. So right now the font size is set to what number? Where could we find that? Well, here it is. It's set to 14. All right. Now, if I click on the left button, notice how this changes. So up here we have left button. This is right button. So if I click left, I can see what the font size is for the left button. And I can see right here that it's 30. So I'm going to go back to my right button and I'm going to choose 30. Perfect. All right, so if that is level 11, that is done. We're done with level 11. So we're going to run this and you're going to notice when I click on this right button, nothing happens because we didn't program it yet. That's what we're going to do in the next couple levels. So we're going to hit finish. It's going to say, are you sure? We're going to hit continue. All right, so now we're on level 12. So level 12, the goal, create a new screen. So we're going to create a new screen called right screen. Does anyone remember how many screens we have so far? If you said 2, you are right. We have a start screen and a left screen. So now we're going to add a new screen right here. We're going to add a new screen that's blank, and we're going to call it right screen. So right here where it says ID, we're going to call it right screen. Done. Now, what's the next thing we need to do? Well, let's look at our goal. add a text label that says you went right. So if I go back to left screen, it says you went left. So now I need in my right screen a label that says you went right. So how do I add a text label? Where do I go? Well, right here, you have all these things that you guys can add. And again, we're not going to add a button. We're going to add a label, which is right here, the one with ABC. So I'm going to put it somewhere in the middle. Okay, we can just leave it label 3. That's fine. The text, we want it, you went right. So I'm going to make my width, let's just see. Let's try 300. That might be too big. Let's see. Yeah, way too big. So let's try 200. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. 200 looks good. We're going to make the height maybe, I don't know. I don't know if you guys can hear. My dogs are barking outside. Okay, so that's good. Width, height, that's fine. Let's see. Well, let's look at our answer key up here. So we need a background color of red. So let's see. Do we have a background anywhere? We have text color. Background color right here. So for some reason, they don't give you, oh, they do right here. Sorry, I missed it. So there is a little color swatch right here. If you click on that, we're going to choose red. And it's not working. Let's try that again. I don't know why that's not working. So if it works for you, you can change it to red, but if not, you can leave it. And then I'm going to just center my text to make it look a little nicer. And we're going to make our font size a little bigger too. We're going to make it, let's see, that looks good, 30. All right. So now it says, let's see, in design mode, drag in a new screen. We did that, right screen. Change its ID to right screen. We got that. Then drag a label onto the screen and change the text to you went right. Done. So now we have 3 screens. We have a left screen, we have a right screen, and we have our start screen. All right, so we are done with this. We're going to run it. So now, if I hit left, it goes left. Reset it, run it. If I hit right, nothing happens yet. That's okay. We created the screen, but what we didn't do yet is we didn't program this button to go to that screen. And that's what we're going to do in the last level. So we're going to hit finish. I'm going to hit continue. All right, so in level 13, as you can see, there's already blocks here for the left button. So the code.org people actually already programmed the left button for you. We pretty much just have to repeat this for our right button. All right, so it says, the goal is the screen switches to the right screen when the user clicks the right button. So how do we do that? All right, so right now we are in the code mode. So up here at the top left, notice how it says code and design. So design is where you add all the stuff you want. The code is where you actually change the things that you want. All right, and you code it. So then the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need an on event. So I'm going to bring that in. And the first thing we need to do is where do we want the event to happen? Okay, on which component of our app? Hopefully you said right button because that's what we're going to click on. So that is why it's important that we name this right button so we knew it was the correct one. So I'm going to click right button. So when we click the right button, what should happen? Well, 2 things should happen. 1, it should take us to the right screen. And 2, it should actually play a sound. So if I run this and I click the left button here, I don't know if you guys heard that. Okay, it makes a sound. So now we're going to do the same thing to our right button. So what we're going to do is we are going to set the screen first. And again, when we click the right button, what screen do we want it to go to? We have our 3 screens. We want it to go to the right screen. And then what do we want to happen also when we click the right button? We want it to play a sound, just like this one. So we're going to use play sound. Now they have a sound up here called default. We can just leave it like that if we want. We can click the drop down arrow, choose another sound. I'm just going to do, let's see, what do we got? Let's do music. This one looks good. I'll try that one. All right, so now the moment of truth. Let's see if it works. So I'm going to run this. Left mouse button, that little sound effect. I'm going to reset it, run it again, right. And you can hear that. And that's the sound that I picked. Okay, so All three of those levels were just step by step on how to do exactly what we just did. Now, if you're doing this at home or you're doing this in my class, it's a lot easier if you could watch this tutorial on your iPad and do everything on a laptop. Now, in my classroom, I do have 27 laptops. If you're at home, you may not have a computer or laptop to do this, so it may be difficult to have the video and code.org up at the same time on your iPad. So if you have a computer, it would be probably easier because code.org works a little better on a computer. But if not, you can watch a little bit of the video, then switch over to code.org and so on. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit, because after this, you're actually going to start creating your own app by following my instructions. So hopefully that helped you guys. And again, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. Thanks.